April 18th, Tillamook County Board meeting. We certainly appreciate everybody being here via live feed or here in the room. Thank you so much. Grateful for this past weekend and what that means to all of us. And that we're going to start our meeting with prayer. Supervisor Montgomery, how about you?
Sure, certainly will. If you will, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this Easter season that we just celebrated yesterday, dear Lord, and that He is risen as of yesterday, dear Lord. Thank you for Oktibbeha County. Thank you for all the many blessings that it provides to each and every one of us that are here today, and the citizens that live here and the ones that pass through it, dear Lord. Thank you for the state of Mississippi, which we are all so proud of. Thank you for this country. Dear Lord, thank you for all the many freedoms that it does provide for us. Be with those in Ukraine, dear Lord, right now, who are fighting for their freedoms and their survival as well. Be with our military, not only here, but the ones that are abroad, dear Lord, that protect every freedom that we do have. Thank you for all the many blessings again that this country does provide and the ones that it will provide in the future. It's all these blessings and more that we are so thankful, dear Lord, that you do provide for each and every one of us here now and as we go about our day and our week. Thank you for all of that. It's in Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Good morning. We're going to start our meeting right now. If there's any citizen comment, this is the time where we have 3 minutes, and we're going to have Tyler, if you want to stand from the Commercial Dispatch and share your good news with us this morning.
Yeah, so this is my last week with y'all. I accepted a job a few weeks ago with the Mississippi Center for Public Policy in Jackson. So I'll be moving there in a few weeks. So I've just really appreciated getting to know y'all and just being able to make these relationships. So I brought y'all breakfast this morning just because I love y'all a lot. So.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And you want to share what your master or your degree's in and everything?
Yeah.
So
I'll be finishing my master's in public policy in like 3 weeks. So yes, and so I'm going to go work for the Mississippi Center for Public Policy. So it's all kind of just falling into place. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
well, we look forward to reading about you on the website for the Public Policy Group. Thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you for breakfast this morning.
Of course, yes.
Wish you luck in the future, and thank you for covering us
Yes.
and being balanced in your coverage.
Amen.
Anybody else in the audience have up to 3 minutes if you'd like to speak? No? Okay. Well, we will move forward. Mr. Baker with a culvert request.
I'd like to request an extension of a culvert. I got some pictures here of the situation. The culvert was put in, and of course we had to build the road up. And by building the road up, the culvert's not quite long enough, so the side's really steep. It's supposed to be a two-way entrance, and so the steepness and narrowness also is causing some erosion. And so I'm just asking to extend that culvert in the length, probably the length of a full pipe, actually.
So what district are you in?
Mr. Orlando Trainers.
Okay, and what road is this?
It's off Breland's Overlook.
Mr. Baker, are you aware?
I am, and the situation with that culvert is the same as we have with some other culverts. A 20-foot or 30-foot culvert works fine if it's not too low into the ground.
Okay.
And this one is like maybe 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet. And when you put the slope to it, the culvert is too short.
Okay.
Yeah. Need to.
And this is not a 911 road?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Supervisor Trainer makes the motion to extend the culvert in your area. Have I got a second on that?
I did.
I'm sorry? Supervisor Howard's the second. And again, tell the road so we put it in the minutes.
It's Breland's Overlook. Breland's, Brelands.
Overlook. Okay. All right. So we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you,
Mr.
Thank you
Kevin.
very much. I appreciate your
coming.
time. Thank you
very much.
All right, Ms. Benson.
She's here. Phone call.
Good morning, Mr. Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, okay.
On March the 6th and March the 13th, we ran a notice in the paper advertising a request for proposals for qualifications for engineering services. We also solicited to two female or minority-owned businesses by certified receipt or return mail. And on April the 4th, at no later than 10 o'clock, you received one proposal. That proposal was from Neil Schaefer Engineering. And because we have gone above and beyond on the front end in the procurement process by advertising twice, you are free to accept Neil Schaefer Engineers. They have been the engineer for the first phase of the North Star project, and I would recommend that you continue forward since they do have a working experience of this project. This is to prepare the documents for the ARC funds project for the next phase. So.
You have the recommendation. Supervisor Williams, makes the motion to move forward with Neil Schaefer,
I'll second that.
and Supervisor Montgomery seconds that. All right, all in favor? And it is for the
ARC application, which the work will include wetland and stream permitting and mitigation.
go slow right here. He's writing it down. Please, thank you.
What if I pass it
Yes,
down?
yeah, that would be okay.
It's in the first paragraph.
All right,
Is that
that would
okay?
be wonderful. So you want to read that for all of us, what the motion is? What is wetland in the first paragraph?
Yeah, Tippah County Board of Supervisors request proposals for qualified firms and individuals to provide engineering services for work related to the implementation of approval of FY 2022 Appalachian Regional Commission, ARC, project related to infrastructure improvements at the North Star Industrial Park to include wetlands and stream permitting and mitigation, clearing and grubbing, earthwork site development, and site access road.
Okay, y'all heard the motion. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, with your permission, I'll let the engineering firm know, and I'll get the application prepared. I'll have to come back to you within the next few weeks with some additional resolutions to be passed as part of that application.
Perfect.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Benson.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
All right, Mr. Muhammad, is that right?
Sheikh Mohammed, that's me.
Muhammad, okay, all right.
All right.
With my southern twang, I'm doing pretty
All the
good,
time.
thank you.
All right, I am gonna break these up because they did not make enough copies for everybody, and I'm gonna show them like that. Okay, just the military enough to kind of improvise.
There you go.
Somewhat in here, President, I'll give you a full copy.
Oh, this is one right here.
That's one right there.
I'll send it down the
I'm
line.
gonna send it down. It's gonna look a little odd, but it's gonna be just one doc. And then there's a presentation that can go to this side here.
I thought we had this copy in a minute.
You had a copy of that in a digital copy of it already?
We have some information in a minute.
Okay. So, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Rashid Muhammad, U.S. vet, Air Force. We came here, did some studies in Mississippi to find that this area was very conducive for what the projects we're doing now in Texas. I'm the founder of Retrain America. We train 400 veterans a year, roughly, that come out of the military. Our job is to set up people going into the military and coming out of the military. Whenever we do studies, we actually kind of find the state that we think is most conducive for technology and agriculture advancements. This area is it. So I spoke with the Mayor of Maven and the Mayor of Starkville, and they directed me to come here, right? So, in Texas, I wrote up what they call telecom proposals for the state. Your state is actually at the point where Governor Reeves is putting out $160 million, and it has to be earmarked to a region. The way that goes is people have to ask for it, and it has to be a justified reason for that to be that act. So I'm here today to discuss some of the advances and some of the things that we've done in the state of Texas that I think will be very beneficial for Mississippi. We started in the Delta, Bolivar County, a couple of years ago. I called the mayor there and told him that Coach was coming down the pike. So we have some intel that telecom broadband, if you're not familiar with it, it's $162 million at the state of Mississippi level. You have to ask for it to be received to an area. Broadband is like the railroads of 1800. If you had the railroad system, guess what came? Businesses. With COVID, medical, military, education being at the forefront, we actually integrate into what they call a CCMR, career, college, military readiness. Who was going into the military? What platforms do we have in place to make sure those individuals are coming out of the high schools and middle schools ready to enter into the military? So guess what? Military wants smart people too. So we're going to integrate what they call as a drone technology here. I brought it in, I'm not going to fly it. But this particular technology allows us to do what they call stackable credentialing. That means we can take a drone into your high schools and create coding, create pre-existing. Because this piece of equipment is going to start getting into aeronautics, Space Force type stuff, right? And whatever area is set up in the country, according to Mississippi State, they have the brain computer that they're running over in Huntsville in Alabama with NASA. So those individuals in your area are going to be attracted to a platform that allows us to deal with drones, coding, flying cars at some point, agriculture, like I saw that timber, which is #1 agriculture. You just had a company to move here that does hemp in Maven. That is also projected to be the #1 agriculture in the United States. With those two in place, it allows us to actually set up the platform for workforce development. How does workforce development work? We find companies. We scout your inventory of who you have in your town, what businesses can be attracted to this town based on technology, right? And if you look me up, I did it for the state of Texas. So we had an inroad right now. Governor Abbott had appointed what they call a BDO board, right? And that's Broadband Department of Operations or office for the state. Each state has this particular board set into play. Well, how's that work? Because we're in school and we actually write the platform, we moved to Macon, Mississippi, to make sure that we can stretch this area for broadband. And so we train veterans, but we also open it up to qualified candidates. We'll find every veteran that you have in this state that qualifies for the program. The reason being is we're looking for transferable skills because the military is the #1 school in the world. We actually put out more individuals who are trained and certified than any other institution in the United States. So it makes sense for us. Once this meeting's over, I'm speaking with Comcast. Why do you think the big companies are interested? Because the people run to the big companies. They miss out the smaller companies that are there. Comcast has to sub to do that particular work. This particular platform would allow us to do that. Starting at the exit of them coming out of the military, we have access to those 6 months prior to military exiting to see if they would like to come work in this area. Broadband allows us to actually live in a rural area and work in the city. So we're thinking that most people will start moving outside of the city to actually work inside of the city. So maybe they'll live in Starkville and go to Maiden or Edenton, those small towns around that's acting for the rural initiative funding. So there's 2 sources of funding. USDA has funding. Should I take a break and be quiet, or do I wait till you?
No, go
Oh,
ahead,
okay, I
go
didn't
ahead.
break. Because I'm just rolling here and I'm looking at it. I hope I'm not glazing anyone over.
But do tell us what you're here to ask us for.
I'm asking for the support to be going to the governor to say, hey, we need to have broadband telecom resources brought to this particular region.
Okay, and is that just a motion? I mean, this is not any financial behind it, or you're?
No, there's no financial behind it.
Okay.
We would accomplish the funding. You have to actually ask. If I ask, then it's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Because I'll be a company going to the governor saying,
We need.
hey, we need broadband, but if it comes from this body of individuals, it'll have more teeth. But I wanted to give you a little information of who I am, what we're doing, and why we're establishing here.
So, and I'm sure that you're aware, because it sounds like you're read up on everything, that there's a lot of different ways that they're trying to get broadband here. And Commissioner Presley in that area has worked, very hard. And then 4 County, we're now using like 4 County, and all kinds of different companies are coming in, not just Comcast to do that. We run broadband through different areas. So, and I'm just asking, have you? We want to make sure and support if we need to, but is there any conflict with anything that we're already doing?
No, there's no conflict. This is an integratable system. There's no conflict. I'm coming to ask to say that, hey, those resources, and I'm not promoting Comcast at all.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. It's just the IOSP who's going to come in and sit on the platform. We're creating the opportunity for veterans and small businesses in your area to be a part of it.
Okay.
So that's the ask. I want to make sure you got that information. If I need to speak to Commissioner Presley, I'll talk to anyone in your chain that you direct me to.
Okay.
To let them know about this, but I wanted them to know that this company will be here, and that's a good thing because then resources we can get from the federal government as well allocated to us.
Your program is similar to an apprenticeship program.
Very much
It
so.
seems that if I'm reading your document,
Correct.
where you try to train individuals so they can go to work in those type of fields.
Correct. So I'm training individuals to get into the telecom broadband field. I'm training for small businesses in your area to grow, to be a part of the projects, because part of their money should go to you, about 30% of it. So that's what the platform is set up. Your vocational trade program.
The city of Starksville has already signed off. It seems like the city of Starksville has already signed off on this proposal. On the
Yeah, I've already
apprenticeship.
had signatures already signing off on the proposal for the state of Texas already.
No, that's fine.
Reverting it now in community colleges, Austin Community College in the state of Texas now. It's a pre-apprenticeship program because many years ago we had trades in our high schools. We no longer have that.
Right.
So we're trying to put these technical construction trades into the high schools so we can get two things out, people to go to work and people to go to the military.
Yeah.
Small business, just like the lady who spoke here earlier.
So our attorney has some questions, and I think that,
I'm trying to make certain I understand. Is your program, does it sit on top of the platform of the internet? You're not necessarily, are you actually trying to run the internet lines out into the other parts? Is that part of what your company does? Or is it a platform that sits on top of an existing system and you need the system to come to be able to do the program? I'm just trying to make certain that I'm.
They kind of work hand in hand, yes. You have to have the system, yes, a partnership. So in order for us to build educational platforms and workforce platforms, for you to get those funding, you have to have a pre-existing system in place. So we have to create that, and we will create that for the area. So the person A, taking a person that graduates high school, and they come through a particular program, it's, all right.
Brandon Presley, and I wouldn't mind trying to help figure out how to make this, but if we could get a motion from this table to just work with trying to get something going, so long as it's not we're not getting in anyone's way, and that's, I think, his point. He's not trying to get in anybody's way. I'll be happy to try to facilitate some of this, and I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
our attorney's also a legislator.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so, but we need to, make sure, we talked to Commissioner Presley too, for public service, and, make sure everybody's on board, so.
Okay.
Would somebody like to make a motion that we move forward with,
Second.
okay, we got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, a second by Supervisor Trainer, all in favor? And what we're gonna do is, Rob's gonna move forward, to clarify and to make sure that, there's no issues with you moving forward, with your program. It sounds wonderful.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you,
everyone.
appreciate it. Have we got your contact information?
Yes, it's there, on the card, but I can grab everyone's card, and I can physically send everyone something.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
would you like
Well,
that?
if you'll send it to Ms. Farmer, she
Okay.
can, send it out to us, and,
Just went right on
I was in a
back
deer
here.
stand at Bradley one day and a drone flew by me
Oh, that's.
You know nobody was watching.
with a light on it. Right before dark.
Yeah, so I have your information.
Okay.
okay, so she'll send it out to you. Thank you so
You know
much
what
for
they
your
were
time
doing,
today.
looking for deer.
A deal, yeah.
All right, Mr. Warner,
Good morning.
good morning.
Good.
Well,
Hold up, Patrick. Sir, do you need this back right here? No. You good? All right. Okay. Go ahead.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
What can we help you with this morning?
Well, I need some help. 2 years ago, when I took over, I'd been kind of looking into this, and we've been putting a Band-Aid on a pretty big, large bleed. We can't do that anymore. It's time we're going to have to buy some equipment. I'm here today to ask for 5 trucks. I need 1 pumper truck and 4 tanker trucks. The county's just a need. We have some districts that don't have tanker trucks. We have some districts that have tanker trucks that do not run. Right now, I can go to 6 departments in the county, and they have vehicles that do not run. 6 different departments. That's not good. When you have an emergency, we need to get in there and go.
So, yeah. Go ahead.
Supervisor Howard was at a station the other day, and I didn't call him over there because somebody else was there, and I didn't want to embarrass the other gentleman with us. But there was 2 trucks there that wouldn't run. I mean, and that's why he was there. He was trying to fix them so he could move them over to a different bay. I mean, that's just unacceptable. We have 30 and 40-year-old trucks. We have a 1981 ladder truck. That's 40 years old. I mean, that's as old as I am. I mean, we got 30-year-old trucks. They break down. The last two major fires we've had malfunctions, and those houses are burnt to the ground. Can't have it. That's what I'm here to ask for today.
Question. So you're saying you need one pumper, 4 tankers, tankers being a tender truck, in other words, what brings the water.
Water supply.
Can we kind of go where the pumper and the tankers are at, where you need to replace them at?
Yes, that's where I'm gonna put them. Prime example, Maben, they have a tanker truck. We tried to repair it the other day. It's unrepairable. It's leaking water. It cannot be repaired. It's done.
All right.
Sturgis doesn't even have a tanker truck in one of their districts. They don't have one.
No tanker?
No tanker. Bell Schoolhouse, no tanker truck. They have 2 pumper trucks, 2 old pumper trucks. I believe they're 90 models, 80 models that are serving. That'd be on Rock Hill. So there's 3 right there, just name off the top of my head. The other ones are just, and there's many more outdated. This is just the minimum I gotta have right now. The minimum.
All right.
So what's your plan of, have you got any quotes, or have you got?
Just off of what I know and talking with the salesman, I know roughly what it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost roughly 1.5.
Those on state contracts, or is it just?
No, that's just rough bids.
No, reverse auction.
But that's pretty good. That's kind of in line with state contract too.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is probably try to get the pumper off state contract, and then probably bid out the 4 tankers trucks. I think that's gonna be the best route to go.
And if we approve this motion, you could come back to us with the plan after you work with Ms. Farmer on the projected plan on how to pay for all of this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
And I should be
Make a
able to
motion.
take care of that.
Okay, you've heard the motion. You've got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, a second by Supervisor Howard. And this is for him to move forward to see what the cost would be for 1 pumper truck and to us with a plan. All in favor? The motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Mr. Warner.
The second issue I have today, I want to bring up, talk about some building codes. We've touched this on the past. I did talk with some of the building inspectors and stuff. We can adopt the building codes for commercial only. And let me say this again, commercial only. I know we don't want to affect the homeowners or anything like that. And for the homeowners who are building shops at their house, we won't have to affect them either. We can go through there, and this is talking with Mr. Lemire. He was a master inspector for 30+ years. He's gone around the state and the country. He was really intelligent, and he knows what he's talking about. We can go in there and put in exclusions in these codes. So, for example, to protect the homeowners, if a homeowner wants to build a 5,000 square foot barn or something like that, a shop behind his house, all we have to do is just say, adopt an ordinance or a building code ordinance. Anything under 10,000 square feet is excluded. So that saves your homeowners. So this will basically be primarily and directly toward the big buildings like these apartment buildings, like the one I was talking about, the 5-story wood frame structures going up, you know, to help us on those kind of buildings. It'd basically be major commercial.
Could you rewrite the coding and what you recommend and submit it to the board?
I can't because the code book is about that thick.
I suggest we employ the services of Slaughter and Associates to help us with this process and not piecemeal it on the front end, but go at it from a perspective of how it can really benefit the county and get Christian involved in it, because there's some dollars out there we can't access because we don't have building code. So it opens up a whole different gamut, and we need a professional to help us with it. My suggestion is Slaughter and Associates or someone who has the capability of doing that.
And I am not a professional when it comes to this. I'm just being honest. This is very specific, particular, and I'm not trying to tell you who you need to hire. I'm just telling you that this is very particular and specific type legal work that I have no real experience with. So I'm not trying to point y'all in a different direction and get rid of business. What I'm telling you is I don't have the experience to do it.
Well, Supervisor Trainer, would you be open to us advertising so all firms have the option to,
Hey, that's a great first step.
um,
Great first step.
you know, to come forward and say, and this will be specific to building codes in the county for commercial buildings.
Commercial only, commercial building closed.
Ms. Farmer, is
only.
that, is everybody okay with that? Would somebody like to make a motion on that, or do you
Could
got
that,
a
could that
bid?
be building and roads?
I think
Would
you
that
just need to
be
do the
building
zoning
and
the whole
road?
9 yards. I mean, you're gonna spend the money, you might as well get the bang for your buck. Whoever you get, they can do the zoning, the building codes. I mean, you know, you get a professional that can help you with the whole gamut. Now, whether you decide what you're gonna get, you're gonna break it down and eat this elephant one bite at a time. But you really need to go at it holistically. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I just like to see us include roads too, because we have a problem with codes in relation to commercial buildings coming up, and they don't include
Road
the
improvements.
road improvement for traffic flow, So I certainly would like to see that included.
Okay, so, is that we've got two different opinions on the table. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we request for professional services for zoning, planning, ordinances for Octavia County. Zoning, planning, building codes, and other ordinances for Octavia County.
We've got a motion. Anybody want to
So,
second that?
Yeah, that's
basically your
commercial.
motion is to develop this, but we can,
Well,
as a board, decide what parts of it that we wanna.
Request
adopt.
professional services from
Okay.
whoever they can do what we need done, let them come and make presentations to us, and then we'll go from there. Once we decide which direction we want to go, to kind of give us an idea of what we up against.
Okay,
So
so your
and I think
motion is
that's what
actually
she's
just to advertise for people to come in to look at
Tell us
zoning.
what, yeah.
And then we will dictate what levels we would like them to do.
And if you can, Mr. Robertson, let's expedite this.
Yes, sir.
You know, we can have this done, where we can advertise and have someone in here probably, I would say no later than the middle of this April. If we could do it the 1st of May, that'd be great. That may be too quick, but no later than the middle of May, I would think.
You heard Supervisor Trainer's motion. This is to advertise, professional services to look at different levels of zoning, whether it be commercial buildings, roads, what needs to be done. Have I got a second on that motion? Supervisor Williams is the second on that. Any discussion?
So we're just getting proposals from different companies to explain, give us their, basically we're interviewing them. Because of where I'll split, and I know commercial buildings and the codes on them are very necessary, but when we start affecting our residential, that's where I'll just be upfront with y'all. I won't go that direction. But I'll certainly listen to whatever they have to say, and because I know we don't want the Highlands, for instance, to happen again 10 years, 15 years down the road. So I'll vote for them to come in here and hear what they've got to say, but I'll just be upfront with you. If it starts affecting single residential buildings, then I'll be not in favor of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We've got a motion,
Yeah,
and a second. We've had some discussion. I'm similar to Supervisor Montgomery. I think certain things in the county or citizens expect, but I do think the safety importance and the traffic stuff is very important.
Yeah.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Can I mention something else while we're
That's a
here?
good point. On the road.
So I would like for you to
That's
look
what
at
we really need,
the equipment that the volunteers
Like
and
that
things have.
situation.
I actually had to have that service last week when I was in Maven. And the cuff that was checking your blood pressure was not, the fingertip thing didn't work. They didn't have a sugar reader. And so all of that stuff where they maybe couldn't have saved a life before, it would have helped before the ambulance got there. So if you can check on all of the equipment that is needed for our volunteers, I think that would be a wonderful thing. Very, very nice people, but just need to make sure that they have the equipment that they need, that they're not trying to, use their cell phones to count. you know, and that, they do have sugar readers and stuff too.
On that note, and I'm glad Supervisor Miller brought that up, because, like I said, she had to deal with that, is there any way to get maybe some grant funding or ask for grant funding on equipment like that? In other words, when you don't have the OSTAT, you know, and the defibrillators, things like that. Just a thought, you know,
There's not much funding out there,
for that, is it?
for that, maybe through the state legislature. I could ask for a certain amount of funds for certain things,
What we could do is, here's the balance. I've got a certain amount that I can ask for every year. If this board makes that a priority out of our priority list, because what I've been doing is taking our priority list and putting it toward one thing.
Sure.
And just so that we're all on the same page, whenever I request something, if I have 5 things that I've requested, those, and the number one thing is a road. Everything ends up going into that road. I can sometimes go in and break some money free. I mean, there's been other places that have taken some of their money and put it toward the fire department, whether it be a truck or whether it be a car. And I mean, he's well aware of
prime
what other
example
places have done.
of Talent County, they just got 1.2 million by fire.
Right.
Okay.
So, but my question is like, how many sugar readers would you need for your volunteer firemen, or how many, you know, blood pressure cuffs that actually were, you know, not, I mean, how many would you have to have? What would be the cost of that? And I'm just asking, I know even the defibrillators, you know, even if you just have one at each, I mean, to me, those seem like, the heart rate monitor, those seem like, maybe we can just check and see.
Some of the business would be willing to.
Well, I was gonna say, why don't we work with OCH? I'm sure OCH would be willing to work with you on things like that.
Yeah.
You and I'll get together.
Yeah, we can, because that's not that big of a cost. We can do that, and it'd probably be per station. If you looked at the stations we had.
So when you call them,
Say
do
it does,
they each
yeah.
have their own individual bag that they're carrying, all of
No.
your box? Okay.
No, that's housed at the station, at the
So
nearest
they go
station.
by, like they went by Maven and picked up that bag and then came where I was, okay?
If we had to go back and buy individual bags like that, you're talking about getting into some money, because we got 160 something volunteers,
Yeah, no.
Right.
and you can't do that.
It's a med bag in that truck,
Yeah, it's a med
dedicated
bag
to
in
that
the
truck.
Yeah. And there's some other things I want to talk later about.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, those seem like, maybe some smaller cost things that we could, you know, if you've only gotta have one for each, that we could get past to have them the equipment that would aid them, you know.
And we can do that. That's
that
not
works.
the cost on that's not that much. We can do that. It's just
Piece at a time, and it's
Yeah.
what you're doing. He's bringing us into the 21st century.
Yeah.
In other words,
I got
and I hate to say
I'm
that,
gonna say it right
but
now.
Well,
If you really want to know the truth.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, I just, I was glad I got to experience that as a supervisor, so.
Well, I hate that it doesn't go as well, because we want to have the best response possible, and we're doing the best with what we're working with, if that makes sense.
No, I understand, but I'm glad I got to see that firsthand, and maybe we can make sure that we have newer equipment for the next person.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
So far behind the cost to bring you up to the
Yeah.
point.
And that's kind of like, you know,
With those trucks, huh?
it's just that we've been neglecting them. We've been patching them, you know.
And see,
you can't do that.
and after
you just have to buy some trucks.
yeah, you have to forgive me, Patrick. I am a bit rusty. How many years is it that you have a pumper gets 15 and then a ladder gets 20?
Ladder gets 20.
And then you can refurbish them and get 5 more out of each.
Yes.
And then after 15 years, though, that
Refurbished them, I think, one time.
But after 15 years on a pumper truck, which is basically the one that charges the hose, and it doesn't count doesn't give you any points on the rating bureau. After 20 years, a tanker truck doesn't give you any points.
That's right.
So those 40-year-old trucks are just there.
That's right. And you talk about the rating and stuff. The ratings bureau is based off a 100-point scale, and 50% of it comes from water supply. So there's no hydrants in the county. So the only water supply we got is tankers or shuttles. So that's where our points come from. The other big category is 40%. 40% comes from firefighters, firefighter equipment, small equipment. So if you don't have the people, that's 40%. If you don't have the water, that's 50%. We're hurting on both. So that's where you get your ratings from. I guess I'll just go off and dive on this. Might as well. Not on the other stuff, but I'll just dive on this little point. Rating Bureau came. They did four districts. Those 4 districts, we went down in 1. Central went down to a 6, which is very, very good. The city of Louisville's a 6, so that's an example. And they have hydrants, so that's very good that Central went down to a 6. We're only one of a couple county departments in the state that actually have a 6 rating. Now there's 5 other districts in the county. I went ahead and got him to send us all the ratings for the whole county. There's 5 other districts in the county that we can go down in, but we're lacking like 1 or 2 points. But 1 or 2 points is hard to get because you're talking about 0.15, 0.05 on certain little things. So it's hard to get. 1 or 2 points doesn't seem like a bunch, but it is. Just with these building codes, we get 2 points. With those 2 points, we will have 5 districts go down. Sturgis has 3 districts. They will go down. The city of Sturgis will go down to a 6, and the 2 county districts will go down to a 7. Addison goes down to a 7. Bell Schoolhouse goes down to a 7. Central went down to a 6. They're there. East will probably go down to a 6, which is big. That's a big jump.
About District 5.
District 5 had theirs come 2 years ago, and they're a little bit away. It's going to take some work to get them there.
Okay.
But we have 5 different districts, and almost every one of our departments will go down a level just by passing these building codes, the commercial building codes.
Are you sure?
I got the
Just the commercial?
I got the point scale. I talked to him. I had a meeting with him last week down in Jackson.
I was thinking it's gonna be, you got to pass for all of them.
Well, I had a meeting with Mr. Applewhite down in Jackson. We sat down for 2 hours, and we mapped out every point. And he put the building codes in there, boom, it automatically jumped 2 points.
Well, I mean, I understand, but
passes everybody,
I'm
right?
talking about building codes for everybody. That's what I'm referring to.
Yes, across the board.
But are you
building codes across the board
Yes,
will make those 5 districts go down.
For commercial and home?
Just commercial.
Just commercial.
That's what I was trying to understand.
Patrick,
Now, if we get these water tenders and this water stuff, that's going to give us points too. There's some districts I think I can go down to a 6 in some districts.
And that's the kind of thing that we need to do a better job
But
of
I gotta
messaging,
have
giving
Out
giving
to the
people more
community.
information about if you do building codes. Here's what the county stands to gain. Here's a whole new era where we can open up opportunities for the county. Now, is it a responsibility? Yes, it is. But like you're saying, that's where we are.
Patrick, you mentioned about hydrants. There are some hydrants along County Lake Road.
There are hydrants,
I don't know if
but they
they're
have to be strategically
optimal.
located. There has to be a bunch of them to
Okay.
get the water.
Okay.
You can't just have a hydrant over here and a hydrant over there. It doesn't work like it. It's
I know
not-
there's several along County Lake Road, and I
It
didn't
does.
know if that would play into.
It doesn't. If you have 5 hydrants throughout that location, there has to be a lot of hydrants, and they have to be strategically placed throughout the county. And that's Central's really the only one, and the reason why they're getting so many is because Starkville's they're getting half of Starkville's hydrants with some of their moving out this way.
But just to sort of back of what Supervisor Train is saying, and I'm not advocating for building codes out in the county, but I do know when we started the search for funding for the Occidental County Lake Dam, that cut us off at the pass. As soon as every time we try to go, that would be the first thing that, well, we can't help you because you don't have a building code. So, not advocating, but what I am saying is there's some upside to this, fire, safety, things of that nature. But
If the building codes does not pass, we're probably going to get 5 with the trucks. That's the other big thing, because we're going to have to do a water control. And the last time we got tested, we were pumping 650 gallons per minute, which is basically 50,000 gallons in an hour. They have to time it. And we have to get to 750 to get that done. And I think we can get that done But we can't get that done if we only having 2 tanker trucks run the county.
Yeah.
We gotta have the tanker trucks to actually run the county. So we're gonna actually get there. I just need a little time, and I need a little help, and I need a little money. That's what it
Appreciate all
comes
your
down to.
Yeah, thank you for
We're-
mapping
we're
it
getting-
out.
We're going in a good direction. It's just slow.
You're just getting us, like I said, bringing us to the 21st
Yeah,
century. And I know
we're
that
behind.
sounds funny, but
We're behind.
we've had to do the same thing, and we're doing the same thing on the county level with our trucks, with our equipment, and he's got the same. And I appreciate you going out there, seeing our needs, and bringing them to us. You know.
Well, when you can tell the county that 75% of the county is gonna save $200 to $300 on their insurance, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
75% of the whole county, not just one district. That's pretty good, because every district, 5 of them's going down.
Thank you, Mr. Warner, we appreciate it. Any other further discussion, or we get back to our time on our agenda?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Warner.
Pat. Thank you.
Captain Watson.
Y'all know I come before y'all a lot of times, and I'm always asking for money. This is not necessarily one of those times. I'm bringing y'all something today that I'm pretty excited about. We are asking y'all to approve a contract for GPS monitoring to be run by the Sheriff's Department on pre-trial detainees. As far as I know, this will be the first program of its kind in the state of Mississippi by anybody. What we are attempting to do is use GPS monitoring on people who are out on bail for certain crimes. This doesn't cover everybody. Prior to the time that they actually end up and go to court or have the trial or plead guilty or whatever. What we have found over the past couple of years, if y'all have noticed, the trend seems to be for lower bail, lower incarceration rates across the country, not just here. One of the things that we are seeing as a consequence of that is we're seeing a lot of people reoffend during that period of time prior to the time that they're brought to trial. And quite frankly, we're starting from square one. We're starting from scratch every single time. We think if we're able to use GPS monitoring, we'll be able to provide a situation where those bonds and bails can be lowered to a reasonable level, saving the county money from feeding and housing and securing prisoners, giving pretrial detainees an opportunity to be out on a little bit lower bond, and us be able to keep track of them a little closer. There are other states that are doing this with sheriff's departments. Like I said, as far as I know, this is the first one in the state of Mississippi to try. We want to try to make this a 12-month pilot program, with our goal being at least 100 people on it by the end of the 12 months, if not before. We think we can accomplish that in less than 12 months, but we definitely want to try to accomplish it by 12 months, and then reevaluate and see how this program is going there, see if it's worth keeping or not.
Is it how do you monitor them? Is it a thing?
It is a
something
GPS
found?
monitoring bracelet that will go on their leg,
Okay.
where they will be monitored 24 hours a day. Now, when I'm saying monitor, I'm not saying somebody's going to sit there and watch them 24 hours. That's not how it works. But if say a judge puts a restriction, let's use domestic violence as an example. A person who is out on bond but not yet convicted for domestic violence, and the judge wants to put a restriction on them to say you cannot go within 100 yards of the victim's residence or place of business. With this program, we can create an exclusionary zone around that house or that business, and if they enter into that exclusionary zone, a message automatically gets sent back saying that there's been a violation that we can check on. Great thing, particularly for people with domestic violence. If we've had somebody that we've arrested for multiple auto burglaries, let's use the Highlands, you brought up a minute ago, out at the Highlands. The judge can create an exclusion zone around the Highlands where they're not able to be out there. The judge can put them on house arrest conditions if you want, where they are allowed to go to work or to school, but after a certain time and before a certain time they have to be at their chosen residence and they can't leave. All this helps put them in a situation where they're not reoffending. It's going to lower, we think, the cost for the county. Now, the contract is a unique contract in my experience. As long as we keep 10 people on this contract, or $1,000 a month, it will not cost the county anything at all. The company is putting up the money. It's gonna run us about $117 a month. The company will actually handle the billing. People will come in, get signed up. We'll give them a website to go to. They can pay with a debit card or credit card. We'll set up the times when they have to pay, and the company will handle all of that for us. We'll just simply put it on.
So that individual that you're monitoring will have to pay that monthly fee?
The individual that's monitoring pays the monthly fee, not us.
Who
What
pays
about
the daily?
juveniles? I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a daily $3.98 per day.
It's $3.98 per day, yes, sir.
Now that person will pay that $3.98 per day,
That's correct.
and that's gonna at least take care of the $1,000.
That
a
goes
month
toward
that-
$1,000. That's
yeah.
if we have 10 people on it a month.
Right.
That covers the $1,000 completely.
Right. Need at least 10 people
At
signed
least 10
up.
people. And to be quite frank with you, in the past month, not even making the attempt to do it for the levels of crime that we're talking about, just ones that I know, we put at least 4 just at the sheriff's department. I have been to all of the courts. I've spoken to Justice Circuit, the candidates for county court. Everybody is on board for doing this. Everybody has been supportive of the idea. It kind of pushes, it's one of those rare times when I guess both sides of this bail equation can come together and agree on something that's going to make it better for everybody. There's benefits for people on the side of, of lower pre-trial incarceration bail, and there's benefits for law enforcement on the other side of it too. So it's kind of a rare congruence of opportunity. But
Juveniles too?
Do what?
Possibility for juveniles too?
Yes, juveniles are included. I have spoken to our current youth court judge and to the candidates for the county court judge. All of them are supportive, and it would include being able to do juveniles. We got into this whole thing. There are private programs being run in the county right now.
That was gonna be one of my questions. Right now, who is running these type monitoring?
There are 2 private programs in the country. The problem in the county rather. The problem for most people are those programs are pushing about $300 a month with a deposit up front. What that does is simply, quite frankly, price a lot of these people out of being able to get out on an ankle monitor. So we either give them the lower bail and they get out with no sort of monitoring, or they sit in jail with a higher bail, which is, counterintuitive to what we're trying to do.
You just answered my second question was, if you've got an individual that can barely pay the fine if they're fined, but then on top of this, they're having to pay a monthly.
So this is all pre-trial, so there's no fine for them to pay yet. This
Right.
program would end for them upon conviction. If they're convicted of whatever crime, then that would be up to them to pay the fine, do the jail time, whatever it is they need to do. But it would end at that point for them. This is totally pre-trial, right?
But this may lead to the ability for, look, we have a problem down there with too many people in that facility or jail. I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but I'm excited about this for other reasons. This may alleviate some problems that we're having with overpopulation, and at some point, after we see how this is gonna work, if a judge gives somebody 60 days in jail or 30 days in jail, there may be the potential, if I'm correct here, to allow this to be, rather than go to jail, have this program set in effect to be able to monitor somebody after they've been convicted. Now, that being said, I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but this has lots of possibilities that could really open the door for, like you said, both sides of the equation. Prosecutors like this because it alleviates prison time, I guess. The other side of the coin is if you're a defense attorney, having your person out of jail is a positive dynamic. And there is some expense involved in this, but I hate to say it like this, there's no punishment without there being something. They're gonna have to pay for somebody's gotta pay for that monitoring service. So from my standpoint, and Captain Watson has put a lot of time into this, this is a kind of a no-brainer. So from our standpoint, it helps us save some money, which is a real benefit to the county.
And I think too, that somebody that's already done some type of questionable act or been charged with something, it helps you monitor where they are too in society when they're out. So I think it's going to be.
And I want to speak one more thing to the cost. And I don't want to say openly who yet, because we're still in some negotiations with a couple of different organizations. But there have been some organizations that have expressed their willingness to put up substantial amounts of money to establish an indigency fund for those who are in jail that simply cannot afford any type GPS program, where that program would then step in and, after they meet certain criteria, actually pay for them to be on that GPS, so that they would not necessarily be stuck in jail. You know, we get a lot of people in jail for when they initially come in, maybe they have a bunch of counts of less violent crimes, let's say, and the bonds end up being fairly substantial, how they can't get out. But some of these people, a lot of these people have jobs. If we're able to put them back out where they can continue to work, they can continue to put back money for their fines, they can continue to pay attorneys, so that they don't end up then on the books of our public defenders, which gives our public defenders more time to work with what they already have. We think we've thought of most everything. We still have some steps to take, but we're at the point now where I think the contract is appropriate with Sentinel. Sentinel Services are the same people that run this program for the Mississippi Department of Corrections. That's how we got on them. I think they're running about 1,600 in the state, and they have about a 25-year history with the Mississippi Department of Corrections, the same company. So I've been impressed with them. I was impressed with their willingness to work with us. We can scale up services or scale back services as we want, and this contract is cancelable with no penalty, with 30 days notice. If we don't like it, we step out of it, period, paragraph. They've built in damage, so that if units get tore up, they've built in a certain percentage where we don't have to pay anything for that as well. So they've really tried to step in and address all of our concerns throughout this process, and I've been fairly impressed with them.
Captain, does this completely take the way they need to have a bond to be bond out of jail?
In some people, it probably will. In others, I would not advocate for a complete doing away with bond. I think bond is necessary in some, but I think for some it will probably take the place of bail.
Would you say most of them?
I don't necessarily say most of them. I don't, and the reason I wouldn't say that is because I simply don't know. Yeah, that's why we're trying to run this as a pilot and see. I'm sure that we'll put procedures and policies in place. I'm sure at the end of the year, I feel like this is going to be successful for us. I'm sure though at the end of the year we're going to need to step back and we're going to need to adjust some things to make sure that it's working as we intended to. I don't think it's going to be perfection coming out the gate, but I think we can get as close to it as we can. So I hesitate to say yes, it's take place more than not.
Everybody's heard Captain Watson's presentation. Any additional questions?
And you'll be able to monitor them. Say you've got 20 people on there. You'll be able to see on a screen, that, hey, he's still at his house where he needs to be, versus, hey, John just went over into Webster County.
So they will give it, the GPS will give an alert if the conditions are broken. What I anticipate is that alert coming into the 911 center and being dispatched out just like any other call to on-call deputies.
But is there somebody that can physically see on a screen where John, Marvell, Orlando, Brickley are at on the screen?
Yes. If you care to sit there and look at it. Now, right now, I'm not proposing that we have an individual. I think if we get to that 100 threshold and start exceeding that 100 threshold, quite frankly, I think I'm going to be back in front of you asking to be able to hire an individual to run this and some of the other programs that seem to be falling back on sheriff's departments statewide these days. But again, I think that we're probably 6 months to a year out before we get to that point. We'd like to get it started and see what we can do with it.
I think it's a good thing, but I do got one other question.
Yes, sir.
You don't think that this will cause a person to go ahead and plead guilty? In order, what I'm saying is, not to get carried over, extended another 6 months and have to continue to pay that monthly fee. You don't foresee that causing the person to say, well, listen, if I'm gonna have to keep paying this $100 and some
Yes.
dollars a month, I might as well just go ahead and that'll, in the long run, save me. I'm just sort of.
I don't think so, and the reason I say that is I don't think we're seeing it now,
Okay.
even with the higher priced GPS monitoring companies that are out there. We're having people that are staying on GPS monitoring throughout the length of, of their pretrial. I hate to say confinement because they have their time pretrial.
And here's the other side of the coin. If they bond out, that they can get the regular bond. I mean, if they can afford whatever that amount is, they could get that regular bond. Keep in mind, from his standpoint, this is a less expensive way than keeping them in jail.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
For the taxpayers.
They could go ahead and bond out like their normal bonding process. This scenario is less expensive than holding them in jail, from their standpoint.
I feel like if I go down there today and I were to take this program into the back of the jail and say, we're gonna lower your bond by 50%, but you've gotta wear an ankle monitor, I would probably have way more than the 10 that we need right now. The option's just not available for a lot of them at $300 a month, where, at 117 it would be.
Any additional questions for Captain Watson? I need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank y'all very
Captain
much. I
Watson.
appreciate
Yes,
your
sir.
time.
Thank you, Captain.
Ms. Livingston?
I don't have anything.
Ms. Farmer?
Okay, we have, the county business 1 through 14, if you have any questions, I will explain it.
Make a motion.
All right, Supervisor Trainer makes a motion to approve, number 1 through 14.
Second.
Supervisor Montgomery seconds that. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I have 2 other things.
Okay.
The Spectrum project, we have a conflict when it comes to the site development permit, because Clyde is the engineer of the project through Spectrum. So we're needing, and that's the holdup with us moving forward and approving their site development, is getting their, plat approved. Clyde prepared it, so he can't approve it, it's a conflict.
So we need to hire another
We need to
individual to
get
approve.
someone, so I did speak to Clyde about that. He said it's a pretty simple process. There's a checklist that, you have to go through and check the developers, what's in place. So we're gonna have to get someone to do that for this project.
What would preclude us from being that group? I mean, just us looking at it.
Yeah.
And
So
not even taking a recommendation from Clyde, but just us looking at it objectively and just making a decision on it.
Okay, I'll get the information from Clyde and I'll.
I mean, I'm just saying that, to me, that would be the easiest way to do it, instead of having to hire somebody.
Well, I'm
Okay, I can do that.
and I'm still, when people call me about a culvert, I say, are you building a home? And I say, well, you've got to go do your site development process. And I don't immediately say, well, we'll put you a culvert in to access your land, because I think if we do that, then it eliminates that step that we're trying to put in for site development, process, so.
And when it comes to that, a lot of them are not ready to provide to me what's required to complete the site development permit.
Don't have the address,
They
et
don't
cetera.
have the address yet, they don't have the septic recommendation or the water availability. I only, issue the site development permit once they complete everything that's required. Most of them say, I just want access to my land to clean it off so that I can do those things. That's when you all do it, because I can't just do it. They have to provide those documents to me.
Is this a commercial and a
Yeah,
residential?
this
That's
separate.
commercial.
That, large, they building a garage with the housing and everything, that Clyde is the engineer on the project. That's the
And see,
special project.
what I've been sort of saying, when we come to something like that, I think we don't need to just look at the building, we need to look at the surrounding area, how much traffic it's gonna put on our roads, and if we're gonna have to be required for slip lanes and utilities and stuff like that. But when you're developing a commercial site, I think you
That's
need to
whole- that's
look
a
at the whole
different
thing.
That's a
What-
different
How's it gonna
situation.
affect that whole area?
We've discussed revisiting the site development guidelines, and I've prepared the entire package for everyone. So that's what this conversation for.
But Clyde was willing to sit down with the board and see if we come up with something, but
Okay.
I don't know, if supervisor trainer feel like this board is knowledgeable enough to approve a commercial
Now, I'll
site.
get the information from Clyde, and I'll give it to you all, and then you can go from there.
Okay.
But, that's been the holdup with them. Okay, the next thing is the equipment that was sold was through Thomas auction, and we never signed a contract for them to do it. We did receive the check in, and so now we're needing to just sign that contract.
Okay.
Motion that we authorize the president to sign contract.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams, to sign the contract, for Thompson to auction off the equipment. We have the check now, and the equipment's gone. All in favor? Motion passes 4-1.
What was the amount?
It was in your pack, 350.
Check
I mean,
was
1,000.
315,000, that turned out good.
And I think there's some other things that they still have, Mr. Baggett? Do they still have some items that they're selling?
No,
They do not?
no.
Okay, well, that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Rod?
The only thing I've got, y'all, I am sending a letter to our, and I'm just gonna make sure y'all are okay with me doing this, sending a letter to the board of trustees of the school district to tell them the dates that we expect them to be, out of our building over here. Basically, it's just putting in a formal contract. I think they have actually reached out recently, letting us know that they know that they're gonna be out of there, but I just wanted to make certain that y'all are okay with me sending this letter.
Can you just email us on a copy
I
of it?
will,
Okay.
I'll send it off to them.
And then the other thing I was gonna ask you about is, the mayor asked about a Main Street recommendation or something, or is that something you asked for through the legislature about the,
How about, as far as the
Redo of Main Street.
redoing the Main Street, she's asking, for us to give a, saying that we're in favor or support of this, and that may help get some other grant money that's out there from a federal level. To give y'all kind of a heads up on what has happened so far on that particular project, the city of Starkville received $1,250,000 from the state for that project. Next year, there's probably gonna be another allocation or request to get money for that project. If you're not familiar with it, and you haven't seen it, it's a total redo of our Main Street. There were from some of the renderings I've seen, that one of the renderings had an area out front here that it's bricked with maybe a symbol for the SEC Bulldogs or something like that. But the whole point of this is to make Main Street more walkable, have it more set up for whenever we have football games or anything like that, having it set up to where people would hopefully enjoy coming downtown more often. If this is something that y'all would like to say and approve, I think I probably need to bring you over some renderings to show you kind of what, and get the mayor to come over here. That might be the thing to do. I don't think that it's gonna be anything that y'all have a problem with in terms of what what we're wanting to do or what she's wanting to do. But I do think that it would be an opportunity for y'all to be able to look at what she's asking for. This project, according to her, I think the last figures I saw were about anywhere from, it was under $10 million. This is Rob's opinion. This has nothing to do with reality. I think it's gonna be more than that. I think in the long run, it's gonna be a little bit more than that to do this project, just because everything I've seen in terms of what we've done. However, if it can be done for under that amount, it's a heck of a bargain. There's also, just so that you're aware, the entrance over here at 182, the city of Starkville has worked very hard and received about $17 million, and these are round figures, I'm not trying to be exact with my numbers, for 182 to redoing, and then I guess an access point for Lafayette Street, that should be redone over there at some point. These things should mesh well together into what our big plan is, but I think it would be well within our purview to approve this, but I also think it'd be a good idea for us to invite the mayor, or one of their representatives to come over here and try to present something to the board, if that's something that y'all would like.
I think so. I'd like to see that.
Look, this is exciting times for us, so
Yeah.
I think it would be well worth our time.
Okay, thank you for covering that. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Could you, Attorney Robinson, could you explain House Bill 400 and how that relates to the bailers that are standing out there? Because they are constantly asking for additional money all the time and raise. That's House Bill 400.
That bill was approved. Now, off the top of my head,
Everybody in the courthouse got a raise.
I think everybody got a raise when it was all said and
We
done.
the only ones got to vote on it.
The,
And our raise is effective July 1.
And that's what, and I guess what I'm asking is those bailers out there, they are always concerned, and which is rightfully so. They make a small amount of money for standing out there doing the work that they do.
Right.
So I'm glad to see them and everybody else really that does work get a raise.
At some point, and I'm not telling y'all when or how you wanna do this, but at some point, you probably wanna acknowledge that, and in all honesty, at some point, you're gonna have to vote on the board of, the board as a whole for your raise.
We had to vote on that one.
Can we make that motion today? It's not gonna be effective July 1, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right,
well, I'll make the
July
motion that we
1st.
authorize supervisors to accept their raise July 1. All the other raises are automatic.
All the other raises are automatic, you're the only ones that have to approve it.
We just had to approve ours.
That's it.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, a second by Supervisor Howard to accept
And this
raises.
is coming from the
Supervisor
state.
raise, July 1.
Supervisor raises,
July 1.
designated by the
By the
legislature.
legislature, right.
All in favor? 4-1.
Hey, and thank y'all for doing that, Rob. That was a good
You get
step.
another raise at the end of the next.
We need to acknowledge, can I have somebody to make a motion to acknowledge that, all the courthouse employees as of July 1, is that right? I mean, how would I word that?
I don't think you
The
gotta.
bailiffs?
No, we gotta pay anything.
We
It's
can
automatic.
acknowledge it if you want to, but it's all right, it's an
We can,
automatic.
yeah, we can acknowledge it, but that's.
It's
Okay.
automatic.
Alright.
The sheriff,
I thought you
all the
said-
raise caps went up,
Now-
everything.
The board and supervisors,
Election
you all
commission.
have to acknowledge, you have to approve.
I mean, it
your-
was time.
Now, we do have
Kind of
to,
like it.
You may not never get another one.
Yeah.
Tell them teachers, y'all may not never get another raise.
Well, those bailiffs, man, every time they see you, hey.
I think it was double, if I remember.
and we do have to approve the amount. We have to approve the amount for the bailers, I believe, because they are making, I believe, $55 a day
55 to 100.
to 100, but I think, well,
That's the
they
outrage.
can
Just
make
get
between
up
up to
and then the
up
attorney
to
gets
100.
Because
Yeah,
they
But I
have
believe,
time to hours.
I believe that, I don't know, that's why I'm asking,
That's how we deal.
what's your
with
take
that.
on
And it
that?
goes to the
My take
position,
is that
but then the person goes to
it
the-
automatically
Yeah.
goes to that unless you determine for whatever reason, but I mean, my suggestion would be go to, up to the.
Yeah, let's go to the max, go to the max. Yeah,
That
do
will
we
make
need,
my life a lot easier if you do, I
We're
sure.
gonna have a hard time finding anybody.
Because I'm having a very difficult
Is
time.
that
finding
your
bailiffs.
motion, Supervisor Williams, is that your motion?
that's my motion,
Okay,
yes,
so his
100
motion is to raise the
Max.
bailiff pay
to the
the
max.
full, to the maximum amount, that the legislature will allow. I got a second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Anything else?
Thank you all.
County business? Montgomery, a second.
Attorney, do you have any update on this pending litigation involving the Wet and White?
I don't have anything that I can announce publicly right now, but I'd like to go,
We don't have to discuss, I just wanted to make sure you,
I'm working on something, and I'm actually going to try to get with his attorney and find out. I've been trying to find out what actual cost would be involved with what he has there, in other words, what we would have to purchase, or what it is that he says that he is out to
okay,
do
so
what he's done.
you working on the top
Right.
part?
You and I are on the same page.
Good
in
enough,
terms
I
of
just
my
wanted
thought
to make
process.
sure that everything.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, move down county business if you're done. Donate, used pickup truck to the city of Maven.
Yeah, the town of Maven approached me in need of a maintenance truck. And I talked with our road manager, and he did have one after we turned over some vehicles that we can let the town of Maven have. So I'll make a motion that we donate that pickup truck, to the town of Maven.
Okay, we got a motion by Supervisor Howard, a second by Supervisor Trainer. Can you make sure that you get all the proper information on that truck to?
I think our county administrator.
Do you have it, Ms. Farmer?
Oh, you hadn't got it to you yet?
Can you get serial numbers and all that kind of stuff to Ms. Farmer and, the attorney, please?
What truck is it? I'm asking.
Okay,
It's
your old truck.
Okay. Yeah. They're getting a good one, you know.
It's John's old truck, I think, okay.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, this would be, I think Supervisor Trainer's,
Right.
This is this, agreement between the city, for a project on Hospital Road and
Hospital Road and Collier Road.
Have you got that written up yet, that interlocal agreement?
Now, well, this is something that I put in your packet from last time. I think I mentioned to y'all about the possibility of the city wanting some assistance on, some help on Hospital Road.
Yeah.
And of course, I went for Collier Road, and of course, Hospital Road came up too. And so, my suggestion would be for us to consider both of these projects, you know, on some level. Of course, on the Collier Road project, I hope we can consider funding that, you know, 100% of what they're asking for. And then on the other project, that would be nice to get it 100%, but on some level, I think it would be a good partnership for us to do that. What's going to happen on that is that if we don't do it, the city has it on their plan, I think maybe 4 or 5 years from now.
24.
But if they get a little assistance, they can get it done a little sooner. And with the type of investment we got over there on Hospital Road, I think it would be a good gesture to have it looking good. If, you know, for that amount, I don't think that amount is not. It is what it is. It's 200,000. But you're talking about a major county asset on that road. And if we don't fix it, it's probably going to cost. By the time they get to 2024, it's probably going to be 300,000 to have it done.
I've got a little discussion on this one though. And again, Hospital Road, yeah, I can see that you know, doctor's offices, hospital, wellness center, on and on and on. So everybody in the county pretty much accesses that road. I guess my question is Collier Road. I've partnered with the city on a stretch of road, West Garrett Road. But what I did was I used the allocation of dollars to District 3 to do that partnering with. I didn't approach the board to do that as a county project. That was one of my projects, and this is a substantial amount that I allocated to that to get that road done and partnering with the city on that part of it. So I guess my question is kind of, again, I can see Hospital Road.
Yeah, where we gonna get the funds from?
Huh?
Your question, where we gonna get the funds from?
Yeah, for Collier.
Do it the same way we did.
Same way we did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, pull it out of my allocation.
Okay.
And may I ask the question, there's two different Collier roads, isn't there? There's a little short piece and then there's a long piece.
Well, actually, it's one long piece. The part that's on the, I guess to be on the western end is the city, is the county part.
Yeah.
And then the part that's on the eastern end, starting from Rock Hill Road, starts in the city. And so instead of just doing part of it, let's just do the whole thing.
All right. So Supervisor Trainers is to use his part of his allocations for
10,000,
both
whatever
these
it
roads,
comes out of my.
the attorney said he needs to do work with Chris on.
With interlocal.
That's right, with an interlocal agreement. But here's a question, y'all. The city has gotten some money allocated to extend Hospital Road, and I'm wondering if there, and I mean, this may be a Chris question. I'll get with Chris and find out if there's a possibility of, usually it's cheaper to try to knock this stuff out at once. So I'm gonna have a conversation about that extension.
Yeah, what they're planning to do,
How they're planning to do this, what we're looking at in terms of long-term. So that y'all have a big picture in your head. Stark Road eventually is gonna be extended, Hospital Road is gonna be extended, Reed Road is gonna be connected over there to the Hospital Road.
Right.
I mean, or
Hospital Road will come all the way out.
all the way across the Stark Road.
Okay.
Correct. All of this stuff is all interconnected. And I don't want us to, I mean, this is a substantial amount of money regardless.
Yeah, regardless. Work it out.
Let me work it out
Save an
with
assembly
Chris.
fee, you know what I
Well,
mean?
the growth potential out there is
Oh, yeah.
huge.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So.
Some
I
good
agree
land
with
in
you.
there.
So work it out and just let us know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, we wanna go around the table,
But-
Supervisor Howard?
But
I'm
on
sorry.
mine, if you can, I'll make the motion that
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
go ahead and utilize my funds for repair of Collier Road.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, a second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I have a question.
So we gon' go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So he's gonna work on the memorandum of understanding.
Is this the total cost of you, or is this your cost?
That's my cost. This is, I think it's the total cost. That's
So do you
because
know
it's a project
what your
estimate.
part would be, or?
Project
you gonna
estimate.
Get with them and let me know?
At the worst case, it'll be half of that.
Half, okay.
But now that's, his allocation is Collier. Are we still doing hospital, or
No,
we
hospital.
waiting on road?
We waiting
Waiting
Rob.
on that.
Right, we're waiting on that.
We waiting on Rob.
So
Just Collier. Just
Okay, Collier is 227,000.
No,
10,000.
Yeah, this thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just 10,000.
it might be half of that.
Well, and I tell you what, he's knocking out some stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah.
That was my district for 16 years at that station. And I mean, Geechee, Collier, Hendricks, Treasure, all those roads are not really in roads. So, I mean, he's, streets, excuse me. So, he's doing a good thing.
That's all I have.
All right, Supervisor Howard, you
I'm
have anything?
done.
Supervisor Montgomery?
What about the Miss Hospitality? I got that in.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
So move.
Second
all
that.
right, so this is to approve the ad and, that we do every year for the Miss Hospitality. We got a motion by Supervisor Trainer and second by Supervisor Montgomery that we support that. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Supervisor Montgomery, anything else?
Nothing in
I'm
mind.
sorry, I come
No,
back.
no, let me,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
our road manager, it was my fault. Road manager asked me if we needed to get an approval. What it is, I'm also allocating some of my allocated funds, and I'm pulling some pads out in front of the volunteer stations at Aderton, and I'm pulling pad out in front of the volunteer station at Bell Schoolhouse, concrete pads. But that's, again, coming out of my allocation of funds. So, do we need
Out
to
of your
do
bond.
anything?
Second motion.
Okay.
So, the attorney said we just need a order to do that, so you'll make the motion,
Second.
to pour 2 pads, one in front of,
Aderton Fire Department,
Aderton.
Volunteer Fire Department.
Yes, sir.
And Bell Schoolhouse Volunteer Fire
in
Department.
Bell Schoolhouse. We've got a motion by Supervisor
With the funding coming from my District 3's allocation of funds.
We got a motion by Supervisor Trainer and a second by Supervisor Howard to do that. Is that something that county employees are doing, or we're outsourcing that?
Yeah, county.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Motion passes 5-0, okay? Anything else, Supervisor Howard?
That's it.
Okay, Supervisor Montgomery?
The only thing now I'm thinking about it, he's got my mind jogging about volunteer fire department. For Mr. Baggett at Longview. Mr. Chief Pennell out there, I don't know what to tell you to do out there in that parking lot.
When did you speak with him last?
He got me at church last Sunday. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I thought we had rectified that situation.
Yeah, he was saying it was getting water into the station, but I've driven by there, and I don't know what to tell you to do.
Yeah, I checked it the other day, and we took equipment out there and worked on it.
So I don't know. You may want to get up with him again.
I will, I'll call.
And that was it. Other than that, I'm good.
Supervisor, thank you, Supervisor Williams?
There seemed to be a dangerous intersection at the intersection of Old Highway 25 and Williams. In fact, it's so many trees there we had a problem in the storm where they started falling across the road there. So I was hoping that some of those trees would be removed. There's a problem with obstructing view as individuals coming out to enter Old Highway 25. And I don't know whether you have any information on that or not in terms of what could be done.
Well, we could go in there and clear it out some. I mean, I would like a board order in case we could slide off of the right of way a bit. But that was a major problem in the last storm.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees there,
Yeah.
and they are riding it out. They,
Yeah. Okay.
Is that, you wanna make that
So if we
motion?
get
Yeah.
off, if we get off the right of way, we're gonna have to have easements and everything the attorney said.
Okay.
So if, once you clear what's on the right of way, if we need to get off, why don't you come back with, would that be okay?
that'd be right.
So the motion by Supervisor Williams
I'll
is
second
to, clear the trees pending the view on Williams Road and Old 25, seconded by Supervisor Montgomery within the right of way. If we need additional work, we'll have to come back and get an easement. All in favor of that? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, Supervisor Williams, anything else?
No, I don't have anything there.
I do have one more thing, Madam President.
Yes.
On Brown Road, you know, we redid that road 7, 8, 9 years ago when I first took office, and really, you know, change and widen the road, change the drainage, etc. And those trees, I've talked with you about on Brown Road. There's several pine trees up and down the road. I mean, they all at once, they're losing their bark. You know what I mean? So may need to, as quick as possible, get Derek or someone in there.
If we could get together and mark them,
Yes,
give
sir.
you for a couple hours.
Sure.
Rather than toss some ribbon around, that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Well, I tell you, I mean, it's just, you can, they marking themselves, really, there's no bark on them. Any dead tree up and down there, but I'll certainly, we'll go ride that this week with you for sure, so.
Yeah, Madam President, you finished?
Sure, yeah.
Madam President, I do have another concern, basically. We've been advertising, basically road construction projects, and that's good that we've been advertising those, but we're not getting any information about separate, soil cement. And that's in situations where those individuals are not gonna do the whole road, but, we're just gonna get some soil cement, implemented on some of those roads, and the county's gonna do DBST. So we're not getting separate bids for soil cement. And I don't know
We
whether we
don't
need
have a
to.
price, we didn't have a separate bid out this year for soil
Not for
cement.
soil cement, we did.
Okay, well, we do, I know we do normally have that. Do we need to,
Ask Clyde or something.
do we need to advertise for that, or, I mean, when you buy
I think-
soil cement, what do you do?
I think that's the Clyde Pritchard thing.
The county advertising, and we just get with the county engineer, they come out and put it down.
Yeah, I think the
Not
county
all,
engineer.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Do we just need to do that per road, or?
No, well, we just get a bid for the whole county for the
Okay, can you
cost
check on
of.
that for us?
Are you
before-
saying you want to advertise for soil cement?
Soil
Is that
cement.
what you're saying?
Of course, that's Clyde Pritchard will be the one that.
He will.
If you will communicate with him and
I will.
see whether or not we can get that advertised.
Is that what you want, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Advertise for soil cement?
Okay, we got a motion to advertise for soil cement from Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer, all in favor?
Yeah.
Motion passes 5-0.
I agree with Clyde.
Okay, anything else, Supervisor Williams?
No, I haven't.
Okay. all
Thank
right.
you, Mr. President.
Good. All right, I have a few things from the chair. First of all, I know y'all saw in Sunday's paper about the allocations for Sturgis Maven Road for the $1 million and other things, and I wanna thank our attorney, and all the other legislature, and also the Clearwater Group. They've been so successful, in getting over $3 million now for roads in the last 3 years, and so that's very positive, and I do appreciate you doing
Thank you.
that. I think the citizens are very happy about that, so thank you for doing that.
Thank y'all. I do want to say that Chet Taylor and Senator Williams were instrumental in that as well. I want to be very clear, this has all been a team effort.
Right, thank you so much for that.
Sure.
Mr. Baggett, about that culvert off of Morgantown Road, that gentleman, is that something we can do legally? Have you gotten back in touch with him, and where is that?
He stated there's no culvert there, and, that he needed one.
Is that a 911 road?
No,
It's not Morgantown. All right, so what road is that on, so I
It's
can,
Sheridan?
okay, Sherman. So there's a gentleman that has a pasture off of Sherman Drive that lives on Morgantown that would like to access his pasture. And I had Mr. Baggett check on it and make sure everything looked good, and he said it is, so I need a board order for him to install that culvert, please. That's my motion.
And actually, it's at his house.
Oh, it is at his house?
His mother's home.
Okay. Do you have an address on that?
I don't,
Can you get it to us?
I can't.
Okay, all right. So I've
That's
got a
your
motion.
motion.
I made the motion.
Second.
Supervisor Williams seconded the motion. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. I had another thing, Mr. Baggett, if you don't mind. They're saying somehow Post Office Road, maybe somehow the construction from Longview has gone over there and dumped some dirt or something like that. I don't know. Can you see what's going on over there?
At the intersection, I know where it
At
is.
the intersection, I'm having a lot of complaints about that. It's from the, and that it's blocking a culvert now, that it was something that the construction brought over there. Okay. All right. I will say that tomorrow, this week, the SOAR's having their big meeting with all the county data, and so I will attend that, and I'll make sure that I bring that information back to the board. They put together a lot of good things. So that's all I have this week. Does somebody want to make a motion to?
Just quickly.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Baggett, when will we start back our road building? Is it still too wet?
It's too wet. Yeah.
It is, okay.
No, we sitting on ready to go as soon as we can get out there.
Okay.
We've done, most of the grubbing on the roads that we're gonna do, except for very little. And so it's just a matter of, getting out of, when we get a couple of dozers out there and create ditches.
Okay.
Houston Thompson looks great. I appreciate that.
All right, I need again, I want to thank Tyler for all she's done for us, getting the information out to the citizens about what happens in the meetings. Both of y'all play a vital role in that. Thank you so much for that, and we wish you the very best in your next job. I need a motion to adjourn until May the 2nd, please, at 9 o'clock.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Supervisor Tyler, the bid opening tomorrow morning.
That one, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's gonna tell a lot on yours, and mine's in the 10th of May.
Yeah. Price is looking good.
Let you know.
This your phone on
Snap something off there.
I need to carry your package.
All right.